Before we talk about a short hike, here's a quick warning. It probably goes without saying, but just in case it doesn't, there will be spoilers in this video. I highly recommend you play the game for yourself before watching through this analysis, as it's an enjoyable game best experienced by going in blind. You have been warned. So many games demand a lot of hefty tasks from their players. We often assume the role of a hero, the one destined to save the world. As such, we find ourselves being asked to save a group of people, or save the world entirely, or even defeat the big bad threatening to destroy everything. Essentially, we are given a host of obligations and objectives to complete in order to play and ultimately finish games. From one quest to another, this constant push for action and the provided life or death hero role can make games either overwhelming or exciting, and sometimes both. All of this rigmarole works really well for many games, and it's something we've come to expect. Well, what if a game said, forget all that nonsense, and simply asked its players to go on a hike? A Short Hike, developed by Adam Robinson Yu and released in 2019, is a small indie adventure that sees the player taking on the role of Claire, a cute and relatable avian protagonist as she hikes up a trail to find cell reception. Despite its short runtime, A Short Hike effectively leaves a lasting impression on its players by focusing on freedom, exploration, and savoring the smaller joys of life. Hi, I'm Jen, and today I'd like to explore A Short Hike with you as we break down its various elements and the meaning behind its pixels. A Short Hike approaches exploration differently than some other games do. For one, the amount of exploration a player does can drastically shift the runtime of the game. You can finish the game in an hour, or spend hours wandering to find every single coin, shell, and treasure chest. You can even spend your time fishing in any of the various bodies of water. The goal of A Short Hike is simple. Reach the peak of the hiking trail known as Hawk Trail in order to get cell reception. At the start, we aren't told why Claire desires cell reception other than the simple fact that she is expecting a phone call. With this in mind, players are tossed into a world with no hand-holding. There are no quest markers and definitely no map. Linear and strict progression is thrown out the window entirely. Despite the fact that this sounds overwhelming, it's not. Instead, it's freeing and engages our curiosity. Instead of getting hit in the face with concrete elements of quest markers and maps, players receive gentle nudges. These gentle nudges encourage the player to explore and take place in the form of trails, signs, landmarks, character interactions, and more. That said, players can choose to ignore these elements if they want to. In fact, there is no single correct way to reach the peak, and each playthrough is different. How each person reaches the peak is ultimately up to them. The player is able to explore and navigate the game's offerings by utilizing various methods of movement. You can walk, climb, jump, glide, and swim. And the best part is, they all feel natural and satisfying. Jumping and climbing specifically can be improved as the game progresses through items called golden feathers. They improve climbing stamina and the number of mid-air jumps you can do, which only makes the game more fun. Collecting golden feathers is one of the few necessary tasks you're given, and they're a fun way to track your progression. Even with the feathers, though, they never feel like a burden or a difficult barrier to bang your head against. Instead, each feather is found without too much fuss or frustration. The exploration that is encouraged throughout the game ensures that the player will naturally stumble across these feathers over time. The experience of A Short Hike is not an entirely solo one. Yes, the game is single player, but the world the game presents feels full of life as Claire interacts with other animal inhabitants. They often offer various side quests, collect 15 shells, find a small shovel, and more. Fulfilling these requests feels like performing small acts of kindness and makes the player feel good about themselves. Other small interactions, such as selling fish to the fisherman or racing a child down the mountain, add to the sense of player agency. None of these minor interactions are required, but they feel rewarding and breathe more life into the already colorful world. Claire's fellow islanders feel unique and carry their own sense of charm. The interactions are casual, oftentimes funny, and feel completely natural. An excellent example of these traits is found in a shady-looking character who sells golden feathers at a markup. At first, it seems he is merely scamming the player, but if you ask him enough, he will admit to you that he's selling feathers because he needs to fund his college tuition. This revelation adds an immediate level of relatability and empathy towards a character who you likely viewed in a negative light mere seconds before these lines of dialogue. In fewer words, A Short Hike does a fantastic job at emphasizing the importance of community interaction and encouraging social engagement. A short hike's overall tone matches its messages and gameplay. Simply put, it has a lot of character. The graphics focus on simplicity and are expressive and bright. The color palette of the environments shifts dynamically depending on the time of day and Claire's location. In some areas it is bright and warm, and in others dark and rainy. The peaceful natural environment of the island reinforces the game's themes and breaks away from a world of chaos. The island is gentle, slow, and free. Along with visuals comes a beautiful soundtrack with a host of songs that soothe and calm. The soundtrack changes based on where you are, much like the color palette, and comes across in the piano near the shore, the banjo when you're climbing. This all adds to the cozy, fun, and reflective feel of the game. Music can make or break some video games, and in A Short Hike, it does nothing but soothe the player and offer a satisfying soundtrack as we go about our tasks. The ending of A Short Hike is unexpected, yet welcome. At the end, we realize that Claire has a subtle character arc. She begins restless and distracted, too focused on her incoming phone call. She begins to relax and enjoy the scenery and island as the game progresses, though. Throughout this arc, Claire collects feathers, quests, jumps, climbs, and glides her way around the map until she ultimately reaches the peak. When she does, it's revealed why she needed to get cell reception in the first place, and the reveal is equal parts cathartic and heart-wrenching. The call comes from her mother, and we learn that Claire's mother had surgery. Though we aren't told specifically, we can assume it was fairly serious. This brief interaction touches upon an important subject, the love a parent has for their child. Parents often possess the desire to be strong, to not let their children know their pain, to love unconditionally. Though Claire expresses concern for her mother shrugs it off. Through very few words, the player learns that Claire's mother puts up a strong persona. Whether that's reflective of how she really feels is left to interpretation. When Claire tells her mother that she wishes they could be together, she mentions that her mother's alone. Her mom replies, as mothers often do, "Don't worry, everything is fine." This is a powerful, albeit subtle, commentary about parenthood. It implies that the burden should fall to the parent, not the child. Parents should worry about their children, not the other way around. After this emotional ending and message, the music shifts and Claire takes one final, long glide down the mountain. The descent is symbolic, marking both the end of her journey and the beginning of another. In A Short Hike, there is a lot of meaning waiting to be found. The game succeeds at breaking up our preconceived notions of clear direction and rigidity, along with teaching us to appreciate the little things. It guides us to believe in the importance of play and curiosity. A Short Hike's most prominent message, however, regards journeys. When Claire reaches the summit, we almost expect some sort of enlightening, powerful ending, but instead of fanfare, the climax of the story is treated gently. It is a quiet and reflective moment, and it's at this point that we are hit with the real meaning behind the game, and the message resonates deeply. Many people in their day-to-day lives feel a sense of pressure to go somewhere, whether that is related to their career, their personal life, or something else. A Short Hike reminds us to slow down, to stop and smell the roses, or, in Claire's case, collect the seashells. It rejects the idea that progress is linear and needs to be fast and efficient. Sure, you can rush to your end goal, but you will enjoy the experience a lot more if you focus on the moments along the way. A Short Hike is a deceptively simple game. It appears to be a small, charming game about taking a hike. But when we dig deeper, we uncover meaningful messages about slowing down and enjoying the journey. This message isn't forced on the player. Rather, it's by experiencing the game that a player can draw meaning. We live in a pushy, aggressive world that encourages us to aim for perfection. It instills in us the desire to reach the top and be unendingly productive. These stressful messages are so highly pervasive that even many of the games we play reflect this fervent need for achievement. But A Short Hike is different. Instead of focusing on lofty end goals, it urges us to stop and appreciate the plethora of detours, the many conversations among friends, and the snippets of discovery. In a subtle yet powerful way, A Short Hike reminds us that the best moments of an adventure aren't always the destination itself.